critical issues in product development is value durability. According to David Ricardo, he have said, neither machines nor the commodities made by them rise in real value, but all commodities made by machines fall, and fall in proportion to their durability. According to the study, value durability of a product refers to the likelihood that a product will continue to maintain its value over time. This may not occur for various reasons. Some products are designed with current fashions in mind and may consequently lose their value as they go out of fashion quite quickly.
The Aero Creeper is proudly manufactured and designed right here in the United States of America. Each Aero Creeper is built in our Utah factory with top quality steel, fabrics, and components to ensure you get the very best investment for years to come. Each Aero Creeper is ready to go right out of the box with no assembly required. We stand by the build quality of the Aero Creeper with a manufacturer's warranty, and will gladly help resolve any issues that may arise with our friendly customer service representatives.
In a wide range of matters, product can present safety issues. Consider cigarettes, cereals, fatty meals, lawnmowers, and other machines that harm a person, and pesticides and toxins. If you dig deeper under certain situations, practically every product may pose threats and become dangerous. These safety risks may originate from the product materials, the design technique of usage, the manner in which the product is announced, or a combination of these. Marketers need to be aware of the potential hazards the items presented can create in the development of new items. Traditionally, a marketer is responsible for producing the things that people buy, and the consumer has a responsibility to assess if and to what degree this product is harmful. Companies should not disguise elements of a harmful product, of course, but the consumer must receive appropriate product data and act accordingly. In summary, the caution chapter guides both consumers and companies. The consumer should be aware of it. The consumer must also watch after themselves, as long as consumers must be careful of the exchange business offering them. This idea suggests that sellers and buyers are untrustworthy. The items that are so complicated for most consumers today are that it is difficult, if not impossible, to know what product characteristics may injure themselves or others, or even harm the environment. The presumptions made by the cautionary and the concept is just not true for the vehicles, computers, cell phones, or medicines we buy. Customers are seriously and mercilessly affected. In this case, it would be a more believable ethical guideline to marketers to be properly careful in manufacturing and promoting a product. Marketers must thus take all responsible steps to guarantee that the attributes of their products do not hurt their customers. This does not mean that a product might not hurt individuals. There is no cause to complain to a manufacturer if somebody buys a pocket knife and inadvertently cuts his fingers immediately afterwards. The product must instead have been faulty in some way if a client has a justifiable complaint. In creating such a poor product, the marketer should not have taken necessary care in some way. In other words, he had to be negligent. There are several concerns with the right of consumers to be protect against dangerous items. For example, what are manufacturers' duty to customers? What guarantee should customers be given by manufacturers in respect of their products? What preventative precautions in the productions of products and services should be taken? And what are manufacturer ethical obligations to the consumers?
The Duque theory. First, manufacturers' responsibilities toward consumer is based on the assumption that manufacturers have more expertise, knowledge, and efficiency than their consumers, that they have special responsibilities to look out for the interests of the buyers and above all to take special care to make sure that the buyers are not harmed by manufacturers' product. Second, manufacturers are of no significance if there are no consumer to consume their product means for the consumer. This gives rise to a very crucial question, namely the role manufacturers play in regard to their responsibilities toward the consumers. Third, the manufacturers are the experts engaged to make product to provide for the needs of consumers. Their skill and expertise are far more superior and efficient than the consumers, and think highest on how the dependent look over the expertise in the meeting consumer requirement. Last, obligate to take all reasonable precautions to ensure that the product they make are free of defect. It's only have the duty to deliver a product that lives up to its express and implied claims, but also have a duty to exercise due care to prevent others from being injured by the product, even if the manufacturers explicitly disclaim such responsibility and the buyers agree to the disclaimers. Manufacturers' responsibility to exercise due care extends. First, material substance is ensure that the materials used in the design comply with government and industrial standards and can withstand reasonable use. Proper testing must be conducted to ensure that the products are safe for use. Second, design. When designing the product, it comply with the government and the industrial standard to ensure that the products are safe under all foreseeable conditions, including potential misuse by consumers, and avoid concealing any dangers. Third, production. Adequate measures be adopted in the production process to ensure that the products are free from defect and faulty construction. Additional tests also be performed to identify any shortcomings and rectify in case of faulty assimilation. Fourth, quality assessment. It ought to adopt efficient and systematic method to assess product quality. A total assessment of the product quality must be done and the product inspected before they are sent for packaging and labeling. Fifth, packaging and labeling. Consumer need sufficient information to make a rational choice. Hence, all necessary information should be provided. Moreover, it is important that the packaging is securely made and sealed because the durability of the product depends on efficient packaging, and the product should be well packaged to avoid damage during transit. Lastly, statutory warning. Manufacturers should provide warning and precautionary measures concerning the use and care of the product. It should be clear, easily understood, and should include clear description on any hazard.
The contractual theory. What is meant by the contractual theory? The contractual theory holds that the relationship between manufacturers and the consumers is essentially a contractual relationship, and the firm's moral duties to the customer are both created by this contractual relationship, which is subject to the terms of a contract. It is founded on the view that a contract is an agreement entered into voluntarily by two contracting parties or more with the motive of complying with the terms of the agreement. Contract theory encompasses not only doctrinal clarity but also contains a moral component, and fairness to the parties is an important constituent in a contractual relationship. For example, one party should not be ruined in the interest of the other receiving a windfall. It argues that contracts and relationships are complementary and that contracts provide an evolving governance structure for relationships. The example of the relationship between the two contracting parties, the manufacturer and the consumer, is understood as a mutual agreement whereby both the parties are bound to comply with the terms of the agreement. Sometimes the agreement may not be explicitly written, and there may be an implicit understanding between the parties. Both the parties must know what they are agreeing to and possibly have full knowledge of the agreement without any misrepresentation, because an agreement cannot take place unless the contracting parties know what is to be agreed. The contractual theory claims that the contract should facilitate the efforts of contracting parties to maximize the joint benefit from mutual interaction. The contractual theory stresses on the importance of the nature of agreement between the contracting parties. The manufacturers who intend to enter to contract with consumers have a duty to disclose exactly what the customer is buying and what the terms of the sale are. The manufacturers have a duty to inform the consumers of any characteristics of the product that could affect the consumer's decision to purchase the product.
Next, the strict liability theory. On the other hand, a manufacturer should pay the cost of any injuries caused by any defect in the product, even when the manufacturer has exercised all due care in the design and manufacture of product, and even reasonable precaution have been taken to warn user of the potential danger. This strict liability theory is a strong version of caveat vendor, which is letting the seller take care, because the responsibility for all risks relating to a product lies with the manufacturer, despite the manufacturer having taken all possible due care and reasonable precaution. Product liability implies that a manufacturer or seller will be held liable for placing a defective product into the hand of customer. Potential liable parties include: first, the product manufacturer; second, a manufacturer of component parts; third, the wholesaler; and lastly is the retail store that sells the product to the consumer. The law requires that a product should meet the ordinary expectation of the consumer. It has to be understood that the strict liability theory is not an absolute liability. The strict liability theory is based on utilitarian arguments which hold that the external cause of injuries resulting from unavoidable defects in the design of an artifact constitute part of the cost society must pay for producing and using an artifact. As another option, market forces have to ensure that the product is not overproduced and resources are not wasted on it, because the price of the product will reflect all the costs of producing and using the artifact. In sum, companies cannot simply place a product on the market and expect consumers to protect themselves from possible harm arising from the product. Companies are in position to know far better than customer about the real and potential danger of product. Companies must protect customer against the potential hazard.
Environmental impact. The environmental impact of the products that company produce can be significant. Corporations need to think of ways to not only reduce the negative impacts of their products on the environment, but produce products that have a benevolent effect, said McDonough and Browngat, 2002. Since the impact of current products may last for generations through pollution and the consumption of natural resources, the companies which produce the products are regarded as the cause of those effects. Many of the products we use today are designed and built in such a way that they either cannot be repaired or their repair is so expensive that it would be cheaper to buy a new product. Products that are to be discarded must be transported to a scrapyard and thrown away. These products are made from scrap material that are poisonous and may leach into groundwater and give off toxic fumes that ultimately reach to places where people live. There are 5 examples of environmental impact. First, global warming and volatile weather. Second, damage to nature. Third, soil erosions. Fourth, loss of biodiversity. And last, long-term toxins. Damage to nature is air or land or water pollution, causes health problems and can damage the productivity of land and seas. Global warming and volatile weather is a global warming leads to rising sea levels, volatile weather patterns and could cause significant economic costs. Soil erosion is a deforestation resulting from economic development damages soil and makes areas more prone to drought. Next is loss of biodiversity. This could harm future carrying capacity of ecological system for the economy. Though there is uncertainty about the extent of this cost as the benefit of lost genetic maps may never be known. Next is long-term toxins. Product development creates long-term waste and toxins, which may have unknown consequences. For example, product development has led to increased use of plastic, which when disposed of do not degrade. So there is an ever-increasing stock of plastic in the seas and environment, which is both unsightly but also damaging to wildlife.